Welcome to the Authenticos podcast, the show that covers everything related to delivering digital transformation in large organizations. Your hosts, Jacob and Jesper, will share their own stories and unfiltered views as they guide you through delivery of digital transformation.
All right, Jesper. So this is a more relaxing or down-to-earth version of our podcast, which we've been intending to do for a long time.
Yes.
You know, just sharing some of the, I guess, weird and wonderful stories that we have encountered in our many years on various projects. You know,
Both funny, but also a little more juicy, and there's a lot of human behavior to these stories, both on our sides and
there is
what we have seen other people do in stressful and
absolutely, and it's and I think just full disclosure. So you know, there might be some more graphical details, which obviously we wouldn't necessarily have gone into in the other episodes. So you know, if someone is sensitive to, let's say, hear about bodily fluids or that kind of stuff, then this is not the episode for you. But if you are interested, then this is definitely the episode for people to tune into.
yeah.
But not just this one, we're going to have quite a few of these.
Let's get going.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I think let's kind of kick it off with one of the teasers we put out there.
Yeah. So one of the teasers that I put out there was that I was locked into a toilet.
There you go, bodily fluids.
Yeah, during a bio break, and what I experienced was that this was during go live, so it was actually on the actual date that we were planning to go live with the new system.
Yeah.
And as we have to do as human beings, I was the project manager on site. I had to have a bio break.
Of course.
And
Quite natural.
yes, and I just remember it as yesterday because it was a very intense day.
Yeah.
As you know, most of you know who've done a cutover, you know, from legacy system to new system.
Yeah.
You follow the cutover plan, and you basically put everything more or less into that plan. So that plan, of course, was all in my head, and during the execution, I think we were in the very late evening hours. I had to go and do a bio break, like any other human on the
In other words, you had to go to the toilet.
Yes, on the toilet. Yeah, on the toilet.
Let's not dance around it.
And I did my thing.
Yeah.
Washed my hands, and then
Good to know.
I tried to go back to the war room because we had to, we had the plan to follow. And then I couldn't open the door, and we all tried this, and it might just have been a little thing with the lock. And then no, it was just totally sealed.
Yeah. So what did you do?
Well, the funny thing was that I had my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So I tried to call into the room. So I had to call one of the other team members to come and open the door for me, or just come and help me. I didn't have my mobile phone. Everything was in the room, so I only had my watch.
Yeah.
But as you know, you could communicate, or sort of communicate. So that was the way I tried to interact to get someone to come and help me. Didn't work out. What do? You have to meet your deadlines. So I had to push my weight, and eventually just to break down the door. So I came in.
So you basically smashed the door.
I smashed the door, and I
just relieved yourself, smashed the door.
Yeah, and I just ran into the room again, and I almost had like small pieces on me of the door, and everyone was looking at me and, where have you been, Jacob? And and they, oh, I smashed the toilet door, and then it was just one of those funny moments during a very intense time period during the cutover that we were all laughing.
So in a way, it kind of worked out well, just relieving not only your pressure but the team's pressure.
Yes.
With this little incident.
And I think we all been there and we all tried these different episodes, but this was just one of the most, I wouldn't say, but one of the most funny ones that I have at least tried during a go live.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few toilet incidents myself.
Tell more about them, man.
I think I'll start off with actually a toilet incident that wasn't me, but it was a program director on a program I was involved with, and just like you, sitting there working late in the office, and he'd also gone about his business and had gone to the toilet. So nothing wrong in that, except he had also forgotten his phone and everything else. I just left that on the table, and it was known that this particular toilet was troublesome because sometimes the handle would fall off, and
right,
you kind of had to call
right.
people. So all of that happened to the toilet door while he was out there, and no one was around. And really what happened is next morning we were all coming in and we just saw this big hole in the wall. The door was still there.
Good thing that the door was still there.
So he had to tell us what had happened the night before, that he got locked in the toilet. He had stood there for like an hour or so yelling at, hoping there was like a cleaning crew, until he realized that there were obviously that the walls were just made of drywall. So this guy, he had just hulked himself through the wall, broken down the wall just to get out of the toilet.
Yeah.
So they, yes, and just as your scenario, that was just one of those funny incidents where it's like, yeah, I mean, what else could you do? So he didn't break the door; he broke the wall. Yeah.
But it's a funny one as well.
It is. And if I have to go to a toilet incident of myself, might as well just get the toilet ones out of the way.
Let's get the juice. Yeah. No. Let's get the. We promised some juicy stuff. So
yeah.
And I'm not sensitive.
No, then yes. So when I moved to UK for the first time, the consultancy firm that had hired me to help me land there and make the transition as easy as possible. The director of the company, he had put up his spare apartment for me to use for a few weeks. And you have to remember, I basically just flew from Denmark to London. I'd never met the guy. I'd just gotten these instructions via email as to how to, get into the apartment.
Yeah.
And I knew it was the director's apartment, and kind of like an Airbnb kind of thing. So first day, moved to that country, and it was in a town outside of London. Went there, retrieved the keys from I think there's like a lockbox. And then the first thing I see when I walk into the apartment is that there's just a lot of mail. Some of it has been opened, some of it hasn't. So that immediately kind of made me, is anyone living here? I don't know. And then I went to the master bedroom because it was late. I wanted to sleep. But in there, there was like a bathroom connected to it, and someone had left a massive shit in the toilet. It's not flushed out or anything. So I'm supposed to use the apartment, live there.
Right.
So I'm wondering, is anyone else living here now? So I was really, really scared. because there was this big shit in the toilet, and I'm in a new country. I don't know if I'm even in the right apartment now. And then
What did you do?
well, so I wrote so for the next, I think 7 nights. I just slept in fear. Every time I heard a noise, I was like, "Oh, is anyone coming?" and then I also wrote to the director, "Hey, someone has taken a shit in your toilet. Just so you know, it's not me." And apparently the toilet had broken, and I think someone, maybe him, I don't know, had taken a shit and couldn't flush it. But for 7 weeks, I was literally, because I didn't know sorry, 7 days, I didn't know if anyone was, if I was alone. I was genuinely terrified. So that's the other toilet story.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so I think that was such a start to go into a new country. At least I could use that story with all of the other consultants to kind of
Break the ice.
break the ice.
It's always It's always good to when you're sitting with
new coworkers.
new coworkers.
I
Say,
can tell this story.
I've done this, or I had this experience myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. Then I think I don't know if you got any other bathroom related.
Yeah, not bathrooms, but more like when I was a junior consultant. I remember I went to Switzerland to meet a client, potential new client. That was, we were discussing whether to do a project. It was in the beginning. I was independent. I became independent in 2009. And I was very nervous because everything had to be, perfect. So I went out and bought new shoes. And as you know, you should never buy new shoes and then, start wearing them intensively.
No, that's the recipe for.
So I flew to Switzerland and I had to meet the leadership team, and I could when I walked up to them, I could barely walk that day because my feet were hurting so much. I bought these leather shoes that time because I thought that was the style, and that just put me into. I had to apologize, not to apologize, but break the ice and say, okay, this is not the way I normally work. I walk. That was not a toilet story, but also something,
Yeah.
one of the things that happened.
Actually, I have a shoe-related story too. So it's so actually shortly after that toilet incident in that apartment happened, I had to, just landed in the UK, so had to be suited and booted, all that kind of stuff, and I didn't have that much money, so obviously I had to spend my money on a suit or a couple of suits, and then I bought a really, really cheap pair of shoes to go with it. And that was fine for a few weeks. And then the first time I had to go and visit a client in Oxford, distributor split. Like this is just the button fell off my right shoe. So I had to stop by a gas station to buy tape and wrap around my shoe just to keep it together. So new consultant, new client. First day, I turn up with a pair of shoes that this just has tape around them.
Yes.
And the ends just going like this.
Yes.
I was a little bit embarrassed, to be quite frank.
But you made the appearance.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and I did buy new shoes after that. So, better quality.
Better quality.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's I think that, and that was and I think that was in the UK in particular. A lot of these weird, wonderful stories that I've collected that are generally from there. And I think that's because, you know, it's in the younger years of your consultancy career, so you're also a little bit more wild, I guess. So one of the, you know, one story is also like I was foreign to strip clubs when I moved to UK.
That's a good.
Yeah. So
That's a good story. Tell me more.
yeah, so it's and I got assigned to this charity project in South England, and we were a very young team down there. So I was like I was an architect on the team, and then we had a lot of young consultants, and I was mentoring some of them. But we were all in our 20s.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had our food budget, our hotels paid for, and so it ended up with us, you know, quite a few nights. We would go out, have a few drinks, and a few drinks would turn into more drinks. And then as we got comfortable with each other, one of the guys was like, "Oh, Jesper, should we go to a strip club?" I was like, "Oh, sure, let's do that." And it was a fun experience. You go there, you know, it is what it is. And then the following night, "Oh, Jesper, should we go there again?" "Oh, okay, we'll go there again." So this happened for quite a while. So we ended up going quite often. And particularly two incidents there was, you know, memorable. So the first one is that after a while, I had this crush on a stripper. Yeah, and then the other guys or the other teammates who would go there, they found out. She was this Australian girl that, you know, and yeah. So for a few weeks, in the mornings when I walked into the project office, they found this bit of music, which basically went along. I fell in love with a stripper. So that was my theme in the morning. That
Oh, they were
playing it when I went into the office.
I like that one. That's a good one. That was good.
And then the guy who introduced me to the place, or that I would, you know, that would quite often bring me. He, I guess, three things. So he was, you know, there's always a game when it comes to expenses to be played.
Yeah.
You know, what can you claim? What can't you claim?
Yes.
And what happens at these places is that you can get a dance or whatever, and then when you get the receipt,
A lap dance.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's call it what it is. It's a lap dance, and then, but if you pay with card, you get a receipt, but the receipt will say I don't know, Joey's Steakhouse. So what he would do is he would skip his dinner, and then he would get a receipt from Joey's Steakhouse, and then he would curl it up so you couldn't see the time, and then he would basically claim it from the charity.
Right.
So every time I see people, or when I'm in the UK and I see people collect money for that charity, I always think about the fact that they've been collecting money for his lap dances.
It reminds you of his of his way of doing things.
You know, I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that, but it was just, but it happened, and it's I guess most people have played that game at some point. And then the last thing there was that you know, I think he had forgotten his coat one evening, so he asked me if I could drive him down there to pick it up. So we went there, and the bouncer was outside, but apparently the club was closed, but the bouncer was like, "Hey, you know, so and so." So he said his name. So obviously he was on a first name basis with the bouncer at the strip club. And he said, "Oh, you just go in and grab your stuff from yesterday." And when he came out, I said, "Listen, first name basis. They let you in when they're closed. I think it's time to stop now.
Yeah.
It's how do no, it's enough.
That's funny.
So that was my kind of real introduction to strip club culture amongst some consultants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good. Those are good stories. So we've been around. We've been from the toilet to
strip clubs,
to strip clubs, to the shoe story.
Yes.
Or shoes.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, you must have quite a few other stories as well.
Yeah, but it goes back to cutover. When you actually go from your legacy system to the new system and the human mistakes which happen. We were doing implementation in the US.
Yeah.
And we were doing cutover and mistake, long story short, mistake happened in terms of that the wrong environment was deployed. As you know, when you go from when you go to production, you have to have the production environment. It was not deployed, so that the people keying in the inventory, they actually did it in the wrong environment, which meant that, of course, we were not able to go live on the specific time.
So what did you do?
Yeah, the inventory people, they had in the meantime, like they have gone to the beach.
Yeah.
Because for their matter, they had done everything. They didn't know this. Obviously, they put in the inventory, posted it, left everything to the next person to take over. So they went to the beach. They went surfing. They had beers, more beers than we. So, and I was in charge of the cutover, and I basically had to call these semi-drunk inventory people back to work because we had to redo the whole thing.
Jesus. So but they did it being drunk and.
Yes.
I don't think it
was a drunk go live. It was a drunk go live.
Oh,
but we still managed to get the inventory in terms of quantity value correct into the new system.
Yeah, that wouldn't go today.
So the lesson learned: make sure you deploy your correct environment to the correct, to the right people.
I also think the lesson learned is keep people away from the booze until you validate your go live.
Yes, that's another good.
That's a good lesson.
That's another good lesson.
Yeah.
So that was yeah.
So actually, on cutover, I think I have a good first go live story. So my very, very first implementation, just kind of sparked me now that you said cutover and go live. So I would have been 21 at this point, and I was living up in North Greenland, working for the U.S. Air Force. And
that must have been your time during the U.S. Air Force.
Exactly, and then I just designed a kind of a service and preventive maintenance system that basically did preventive maintenance for the U.S. Air Force's missile defense system.
Right.
And I know in one of our other episodes we talked about don't go live on Christmas.
Yes.
Well, we went live on Christmas, so 24th, and no, we were going to go live on the 25th, so the US UK Christmas, and so on the 24th, so Christmas, I was ecstatic. This is my first IT thing that's going to go live. I had designed it, we tested it. Next morning, all of the technicians on the Air Force base were going to start using it. So like a big personal thing for me. Mm-hmm. And then Christmas Eve, I went out to the one and only bar up there. So the Air Force Base, you could only fly in. You couldn't drive to the base. You couldn't do anything. It's just a very closed cell in the middle of nothing on the ice cap. But went to the bar up there and got my usual, which was a rum and coke, and I had a white shirt on. I was there with some friends, and then we went into the smoking area, and there were some soldiers there that I knew. So I sat there and talked to them, and over in the corner of the smoking room, there was this very, very drunk guy sitting, and he was looking at me. And he came up to me, and then he was just like, speaking gibberish, like no one could understand what he was saying. And then he knocked my rum and coke over my white shirt. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, please, can you just sit down before this turns into anything? And he again spoke gibberish, went over to the corner. And I thought that was it, so I turned around and spoke to the others.
Right.
And then he came up again, this drunk guy. And I thought he was gonna say, I'm sorry, I spilled your rum and coke over your shirt.
I'll buy you a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but really what happened is he went, burger, and then he punched me in the face. And I stood there for a second and I was like, did he just punch me in the face? Yes. And then I punched him 3 times in the face, just as a reaction. And apparently I broke his nose, and he was on the floor, bleeding all over. And basically I just thought, fuck, because I'm on an American Air Force base. I have just punched and damaged a US soldier, which is not a good thing. There's nowhere for me to go because it's a closed thing. So I went out to the bar, and then I told the bar staff, can you call the police and give me a new rum and coke? So the police came in, because they then heard that an American soldier was down with the M16s and like proper military police. And I sat there, and they ran out, and then they to the soldier, and then they came running into the bar and pointed the M16s at me, and I knew the guys, like what we drinking, but anyway, I had heard a US soldier, and basically they threw me in handcuffs, put me in jail just for the night. And luckily, this happened in front of other soldiers, who then testified in my defense that I hadn't attacked him. It was actually self-defense.
Right.
So luckily, after 4 hours in jail, but this was 4 hours where now the IT system was going to go live.
Yeah, because you were supposed to go live, so your cutover was in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, the system was essentially live. They were just going to start using it, and then so this happened, and I came out of jail, and I just thought I was going to get fired at this point, because no one does that on American turf and gets away with it. So I asked the military police, can you drive me back to the bar so I can pay my tab, which they did. And then I asked the barkeeper in Danish, where's the after party? And then where that location was, I told to the military police that that's where I live. So I had a military escort to the after party. And then I got
It's
very,
quite a party.
Yeah, I got very drunk because I thought I was going to get thrown out. Then the next day, the operations director for the Danish contractors, he came down, found me, and he's like, "Okay, we're live now. We there's issues. We need your help." And by the way, what the hell happened last night? So news had gotten to the colonel, like whoever's like just below a general in the ranking.
Yeah.
That someone had punched not just a U.S. officer, but apparently he was a high-ranking officer.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but that's not.
No.
That's not by the protocol.
No. But lucky thing is I got off with a written warning, and the colonel of the base, he had asked the operations director to say what it was one hell of a punch. So that was my first go live.
That's
the most exciting one I've had so far, and I don't want to repeat it.
It's a very, very good story. It's
Yeah.
a very, very good story. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah,
But it could also have had a different
it could have had a
different outcome.
Yes. So that was actually the beginning of my IT career, when you think about it. So I don't know if that's the place to wrap up this segment, and then we'll pick up the other stories in the next.
Yes, I think it's a good final.
Yeah.
It's a good final story. Cheers.
Cheers.